Hi everybody, this is Cycle Camp coming to you again, and I recently picked up another firearm for my collection, and it is the Enfield No. 5 Mk1, commonly referred to as the Jungle Carbine. And one of the things that I've been doing is looking at various videos and websites and stuff to try to understand, do I have a real one or not? And while some of them tell you some things and others of them tell you other things, I haven't run into a site yet that actually covered everything that you should be looking for and some of the more notable features of the firearm. So I thought what we would do today is go through this particular firearm. I'm actually going to show two firearms today. I'm going to show my military laid out one, and then I'm going to show you one that I bought years ago that actually had been sporterized, and we'll talk a little bit about whether these guns are real guns or not. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring the camera down. I'll have to refocus, so please pardon the interruption. I'm going to bring the camera down, and we're going to go from the back of the gun to the front of the gun, and I'm going to talk to you about all the little things to look for to see if you actually have a real jungle carbine. So let's zoom in on the gun here, and I'm also going to refocus a little bit. All right, so we'll start from the rear. So first of all, these firearms had a rubberized butt plate that was added. It's really kind of funny because the rubber is very hard and it's smaller than the outside of the back of the butt, so it actually increases the amount of pressure on the pad. But this is one of the signs that you have a real number 5. This plate should have a side-mounted strap hook for your carry strap. And if you do get a strap, you'll notice this strap is made out of cloth and it's woven. The British did not issue leather straps, so if you're looking at a woven strap, you're probably looking at a period correct strap. So let's run a little further up to the firearm and see what else we have. So one of the other things we have is the bolt on the firearm, and you'll notice this bolt has a cutout in it. It's been drilled out, and that is a lightning thing. And believe it or not, they were able to drop 1.5 pounds from this firearm with all these various little lightning cuts and stuff. So I think that's pretty neat. But that is one of the things you should be looking for. Now I'm told that there are some re-arsenaled guns that might not have a hollowed out bolt, but other websites firmly state that if the bolt's not hollowed out, it is not a correct bolt for a Model 5. So number 5. So that's something else to look for. All right, some other things to look for is you notice how you can see between the receiver here and the bottom of the sight. You notice there's an awful lot of daylight there. That is something else to look for, to make sure that you can clearly see underneath the entire sight when the sight's in the folded down position. Also, this big square notch here, that is another lightning cut. That is another cut they took out of the original metal. If you looked at the number 4 Model 1 that these guns are based on, this would be a much thicker piece of metal. It would not have this cut. Also, on the back side of the gun, on the left side, you'll notice this piece of lightning cut right here. This cut is another lightning cut to try to keep the weight of this firearm down. So that is another lightning cut. And also, if you go underneath the gun, notice how the profile of the stock is almost a pure oval, but the profile of the actual mechanism has been hollowed out almost in a figure 8 kind of a configuration. This lightning cut is also very important. You should have this lightning cut, not lightning like heat lightning, but lightning like lightning cut in this particular piece of metal. So that's another good indicator that you're looking at a real number 5. Let's talk about markings. turn the gun over here so you can see the markings, so hopefully you'll be able to see them. Oh, you can see them nice and clearly. Okay, so you'll notice number 5, Mark 1, the F is a Fakersley stamp. These guns were only made in 2 places. They were made in Fazakerley. I don't pronounce that very well, I apologize. Fazakerley. Fazakerley, and they were also made at the BSA plant in Shirley, England. If you have any other markings here, or you have a number 4 in here, then that's not a real gun. That's a gun that's been faked up. Okay. Now this particular gun was made in December of 1947, and that's what the stamp is. And it is. You should not see this stamped. This should be electro-penciled in here. This is not a stamped marking. This is an electro-penciled in marking. They did not use stamping with this. So if you see stamping, be cautious. That's a good chance that that's not a real gun. Okay. So the other thing about the sights, which you may or may not be able to see in this particular picture, let me see if I can get it around, because I know you get a little glare from the overhead lights. Okay, I don't know if you can see this or not, but if you look at the gradations on the sight, these gradations only go to 800 yards. It only goes to 8. And that is the correct sight for a number 5 Model 1 Jungle Carbine. And if it was made in the, if the sight was manufactured in Fakersley, you will see the little F here on the sight. So look for sights that are gradated only to 800 yards. That is the correct sight for a true, original number 5 Model 1. Okay, so the next thing is going to be a little harder to see, but it's probably one of the most important things. And if you're going to buy one of these, make sure the guy allows you to do this, but remove the top handguard. I pre-loosened this up already to make this a little quicker. Of course, now it won't come apart, I'm sure. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to remove the barrel band, and we're going to remove the top handguard. And then there they are. These cuts in the barrel are critical. If you have these, odds are very, very good you have a true number 5. And then of course you'll also see markings on the barrel in here, and you can look those up on the internet, but you'll find markings in here that talk about the fact that this has been correctly stamped for the model, for the number 5. Okay, so last thing we're going to look at is, well, not the last thing, but okay, so another thing that we're going to look at is, if you have a real one, another quick and dirty thing you can do is, if you measure, and of course I've got the gun out of the camera, sorry about that, but if you measure from the barrel band back to the receiver, it should be roughly 7.5 inches. As you can see, this one here is pretty close to 7.5 inches. If this is a converted number 4 Mark 1, it will be almost 10 inches, and the barrel band will be much further forward. So that's another really quick one if you want to make sure you have the original furniture and all that stuff. The barrel band, from the barrel band to the receiver, should be about 7.5 inches. All right, so last, and let me see, just double check here, flashlight, blah, blah, blah. So last thing is the flash hider. Sorry, it's my coffee cup. The flash hider, in a lot of cases, if it was made in Fakersley, the flash hider will have an F stamped on it. Now, neither one of my 2 guns have the F, but so I don't know if the flash hider on this gun and my other gun are original. However, they do both have the markings that indicate this gun was accepted into military service. In this particular one, it's these 3 little marks that come down like this. That is a stamp that indicates this gun was accepted into military service. So that's pretty interesting. The other thing is, you should have the bayonet lug, the full lug. A lot of people cut the lugs off. pretty much even with this lower edge here, and you'll see that in just a minute on the other gun. But that is another example. That is another thing to look for. Is you should have the flash hider, and you should have the intact bayonet lug. And the bayonet lug was integral to the bayonet. The bayonet was integral to the flash hider. And if you have a bayonet lug, if you have a forward barrel band with a bayonet lug on it, that's not correct. That's probably from a number 4 Model 1. So that's Mark 1. So basically, those are all the things to look for, all the little telltales that tell you whether or not you have a correct number 5 Model 1. So let's look at my other firearm. This is a really well done sporterization. I'm going to just come up high for a minute so you can see it. This is a very nicely done sporterization. They removed the rear stock. They removed the rear stock and replaced it with a stock that has a Monte Carlo cheek pad and a very nice rubber butt pad. This thing is so much easier to shoot. They also found a B-square mount where they were at sort of a cantilever mount. As you can see, it hangs out over the action. They have a B-square mount attached, and they did not have to damage or make any alterations to the gun to install this. They just removed the rear sight and used the rear sight mounting bracket in order to make this work. So they did a very nice job. But is this actually a real, was this originally from a true number 5? Well, you can't tell from the back because it's all been replaced. But as you come up into the gun, let's drop down. Oops, sorry. Let's drop down again. Making a hell of a mess out of my table today. Okay, so well, you can, even with the sight on, you can see very well the nice big hole, a lot of space. So let me adjust this again. Okay, huge amount of space. You see, we have our cutout here. If we turn the firearm over, we have the same cutout we saw before right in here. If we turn it upside down, sure enough, there is the cut in the lower magazine assembly, the lightning mark there. So that's all correct. Obviously, we can't check the sights, the flip-up sights, because they've been removed. But on this particular firearm, the flutes, the lightning marks on the barrel are clearly exposed. So we can definitely see that it has the lightning marks clearly exposed. If we look at the manufacturers, it just so happens this gun was made in the same year as the other gun. Only this one was made in April of '47. But again, it has the number 5, and it has the Fakersley, number 5 Mark 1 and the Fakersley stamp. Finally, we go up to the, well, oh well, you can't win them all. So here is the mark that shows that the firearm had originally seen service in the military. They cut off the flash hider, the bell of the flash hider. Everything else is here, and they did a nice job, but they cut off the bayonet lug. But this is the action of this gun is clearly an accurate number 5 Model 1, and so this might be worth someday if you wanted to bring this back to all military condition. And that's pretty much what I do. I like guns that are in military condition. I would have to replace the wood, get a new butt plate. Also, the magazine on this has been cut in half, so it only holds 5 rounds, and then a new plate brazed to the bottom of it. But this gun is actually a real number 5 Mark 1 and might be worth getting a new set of furniture and plate for. And it also has all the barrel markings up here in the front, just like the other firearm did. So both guns, both made in 1947. Both guns are accurate Model 1s, and I hope that this helps you with some of the more obvious, easy to find tells as to whether a firearm you might be looking at a gun store is an accurate number 5 Mark 1 or not. thanks a lot for watching. Feel free to comment, and I will see you the next time I buy another interesting gun. Bye-bye.